Hey, party people, it's Cliff. Good morning. You know, there's a lot of negativity in the world, and there's plenty of negative stuff. And I think I finally figured out what I want this sort of channel to be. Not only is it not only like life lessons and thoughts and opinions about stuff, but I want to try to keep this just very lighthearted, very positive. You know, not too deep, but just going on a morning drive, enjoying not getting hit by cars. I always hate that turn out of my place. Um, it's you're always in a blind spot, so you got to like inch out the nose of your car, and hopefully nobody scrapes it off. But yeah, I think keeping like it lighthearted and positive in a world full of grim and doom. I think it just the more good things that happen, like the more that we can look at the light at the end of the tunnel or whatever. At least that's what I hope. Of course, then I'm looking at all my windshields, and I got all these yellow dots on my windshield, but I think it's from bug poop. So, oh well, just gotta wash it. Wash it tomorrow or the other day. Oh, hi, little bug. All right, well, I'm gonna roll you down. Get on out of here. Go on. Yeah, sometimes little bugs will come in and they'll try to make themselves at home. But it always doesn't work because they get in the car and then, the sun comes out and it heats it all up, and then they die. And here I am trying to make a positive video, an entertaining one. But anyways, what else is happening in the grand scheme of things? Clean bill of health. We got a little vacation down to Anaheim this weekend for Final Fantasy Fan Fest, so that's pretty cool. I got to see some friends down there, and something that's another thing too is like, I think I've gotten to the point where it'd be nice to go on a vacation to see like Paris or whatever, right? It'd be nice to go and see Beijing. It'd be nice to go and see like artifacts and museums and all of that stuff. It'd be nice to go to there, but I kind of don't want to unless it's worth it. And maybe that's just me, like working in documentaries and reality TV the entire time. It's like I live life vicariously through a screen. But it's like I'd rather go and spend time with family and friends, wherever they are. A couple of little cousins are having a wedding. One's in Seoul, South Korea, and the other one's in London. Well, actually, it's two weddings, right? Because one grew up in London, one grew up in Seoul, South Korea. So they have two weddings. It's amazing. It's just like my parents. They had one in the States and one in Hong Kong. It was great. And yeah, it's like I'd go to Seoul, South Korea, spend some time with them, and then go look around as like a purpose. But I wouldn't just go to Seoul, South Korea just to go. I'm perfectly fine with gas at $6.09. And where I am right now, I might want to move, I might not, I don't know, we'll see. But it's fun times, and I guess like that's the important thing, right? Like you want to spend time with the people you care about. Sometimes that can include work, or a crew or a team. Oh, look at this Porsche. That was a nice looking one. I'd probably never buy a Porsche, even if I had the money. And I remember a YouTube guy was talking about how, I don't know, it's like, who was it? Was it Matthew McConaughey? Or it was one of the actors in an interview. No, maybe it was Jim Carrey. I think it was Jim Carrey, where he said, I really wish that everyone could be famous. So, so that way they'd understand that it's not as great as you think it ought to be. And I suppose like working very closely with, in this world, in this realm, I'm like, there's a Rolls Royce that just went by. I'm just like, okay, great. You know, it's a car that gets you from point A to point B. Maybe a little softer suspension. Maybe it, maybe it massages your butt. You know, cools you down better. But at the end of the day, you realize that, and it's just, you know, I don't know. I can spend 30K on a car and then spend the next 80K on something else that's going to be more rewarding. You know, like Legos. um, but yeah, you know, it's funny too because in the world of racing, I think everybody got into F1 after the movie that came out last year. Great movie, by the way. The but I think, like, in the world of racing, like, yeah, like, you know, point zero, you know, 10,000ths of a second matter, right? But in the world of like driving to work on the street, you know, which is funny. There's a guy in a BMW. I think might had to been an M4. You know, had 500 horsepower, and this poor car only has 255. Although you could get parts, and I was thinking about that. You can buy parts and like flex fuel kits and like a bigger turbo. I mean, it's a Type R engine, you know, that's just detuned. And man, like, you know, it doesn't matter what it is, just 255 horsepower can't compete with a 500 horsepower car. And, you know, but at the same time, it's like this one I paid, you know, 30 for it, like used, slightly used. It's been great so far, taking care of it. But that other BMW, I was looking up the price. I'm like, oh, 120,000. Well, no, I think it's like 80,000, 80, 90,000, and like 0 to 60 and 3.1 or something like that. And you probably get the performance package or the whatever the things on it. And I'm like, well, yeah, you spend 3 times the amount of this car to go 1 second faster. And that's on the street. That's like, okay, no big deal, right? Depends on who you are. I don't know. It was fun. I was like, oh, this is good. But I'm also curious about what it would be like, what kind of race it would have been if we drove the same car around a track. And that's where I think it's exciting. I always loved Gran Turismo, that game. Also good racing movie, Gran Turismo. So watch it. It's about the real life. It's about the real life kid who participated and then became a professional racing driver after doing like the Gran Turismo tournament back in the day. We tried to do a show about that. I don't know, but nobody wants it, I guess, or somebody else is doing it. We don't know. But yeah, like the cool thing about that movie is that kid, I forget his name, but he did stunt driving for the actual actors on the show. So it's kind of like a nice tip to the hat round robin thing with that Gran Turismo movie. Not just about a video game, about a real life thing that happened. So, but yeah, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, you know, what's valuable, I guess you could say, right? Valuable is staying with your friends and family, you know, hanging out and being a part of, you know, a team or workplace environment, you know, with people that, you know, care about you and care about your work ethics, and you know, you care about them, they care about you, and you know, doing something that gives you purpose in life, you know. And I suppose there's always those intermediate, I can't even say it, intermediary jobs, you know, the jobs in between the thing that you want to do, you know, like you know, stocking warehouses, which is what I did way back in the day. I worked at a movie theater back in the day. I worked at a car dealership detailing cars, which got my love for cars, I guess, you know, and rearranging them on the lot, make them look pretty. And then I worked for my folks in the geology like world. And then worked at an ice skating rink. That's why I like hockey. Still have friends at that ice skating rink too. But there's a couple of jobs where I'm just like, I don't want to work here. One was selling pianos at the state fair in North Carolina. I'm just like, I do not want to, I cannot be a salesman. Although there was this other kid, man, he outsold everybody. It started week one out, he sold like 19 pianos at the state fair. 19. I always remember that. And, you know, I guess everybody's a salesman in a way, you know, if you're going to do business. But, man, I just couldn't sell the damn pianos to anybody. Like, it didn't feel, you know, it's, I don't know, didn't feel right. But to that other kid, like, man, he was just like, this is my life. Like, I want to sell, you know, I just want to sell. I want to sell pianos, and like, this is my calling. And I'm like, good for you, man. And I guess that's the other thing too, is like, you got to find the calling and find like what your purpose is and find what you like. And the way that I do it, or the way that, you know, I've found it, is that, you know, you're gonna be doing something, and it's not like watching YouTube or doom scrolling. It's basically when you're in the act of doing work. Oops, I didn't want to do that. When you're in the act of doing work, and all of a sudden you start, and then by the end of it, you finish at whatever time it is, and you're just 100% completely satisfied. And not only are you completely satisfied, but time just didn't even happen. Like, all of a sudden you were done, you're satisfied, you're like, oh, that's great. You look at the time, you're like, holy shit, it's like 5 hours later. That's the moment where that's when you found like the exact thing and your purpose that you want to do. Because, you know, because when you're working in the process of the thing, that's the, you know, oh boy. we're stopping. We're waiting. Bad decision on the driving to work part. Now it'll be okay. I get to spend more time with you guys. But yeah, when you're working on the process and you come across like the thing that you're doing, you know, and it could be fixing something, right? It could be designing something. It could be like, you know, art or music or anything like that. And you just realize at the time, all of a sudden, just flew by, and you're like, you didn't even recognize it, and like your whole entire like body and being is just like 100% into it. What's this guy doing? He's just driving on the thing. You know, then that's when you found your purpose, and it has to be this satisfaction at the end. It has to be this feeling of warmth and like goodness, and just be like, yeah, like I fucking did it, you know? Could be like running a marathon, could be like training at the gym, you know, just like, yeah, we did it, we did good, and then go. But it's also a productivity thing. But what social media does, and what films do, and what TV does, and everything that's, you know, entertainment and advertising, those systems really capture that moment, but they don't give you that satisfying like feeling at the end. You know, I mean, films and TV, like high quality entertainment, are kind of like the closest that those that can activate that in you. But for the most part, like if you're there and you're working on something and it's engaging and you just get that feeling of satisfaction at the end, then you're good. Well, what you want to avoid is like when you're done doom scrolling, right, on Instagram or whatever, that's when, you know, that's when like at the end of like, oh my God, where's the hours have gone, and you feel terrible of what you just did, like that's not it, right? That's not your purpose. The purpose is when you feel good about yourself, like after it, and you're like, I've accomplished something, everything's cool, like, yeah, like, you know, let's wake up tomorrow and do it again, you know? And yeah, and that can be, you know, and then when you find like the work that pays you for that, or if you find the business that is going to help support you in the rest of your life, then that's the cool thing. And that's what I found out with friends, rather than going out and seeing all of these world-class, like, you know, churches and landmarks and all of that. I can see landmarks being blown up in Independence Day. Like, I don't need to go see the landmarks, right? No, but that's the but I'd rather spend that time going and hanging out with friends, and hanging out with people I care about, and hanging out with you know, good people, share ideas, you know, like connect, build something, you know, do that, you know, be involved in that kind of world. And I suppose that's my little positive thing, man, is like, you know, find your purpose, find the people that align with your purpose, find out how it's gonna be, and you know, like, live life, man. No negativity, no more negativity on this videos. I'm always gonna keep it positive. Except every time I drive by this spot, it's always like some sort of odor that comes out, and it's like really stinky. and then I look down in the car. Oh man, it's really bad today because I have it on like cycle through the engine, or like cycle internal of the cabin, and not, I don't know, maybe I farted. I don't know. I can't remember. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and be good, be safe out there, and stay positive. Until next time.